Breakups are hard, even when you know they're the right choice. I've been doing my best to keep it together after ending things with my boyfriend of 2.5 years. It wasn't a messy breakup, we just weren't a good match anymore. Still, it hurt. A lot. Some days it felt like everything reminded me of him. I told myself to stick to no contact because it was the best way for both of us to move on. But it was tough. One thing I missed most was playing pool with him. That was our thing. I'm a pretty good player, but he was amazing. He could do all sorts of trick shots, bank shots, combos, even a mass shot. We both had pool tables at home, but we liked going out more. We always chose bars that had pool tables, especially the quieter ones with older crowds. We didn't care much for loud college bars full of people yelling and spilling drinks. We preferred old dive bars with sticky floors and beat-up tables. He was a people person and could talk to anyone. I'm a little shy, but it didn't matter when I was with him. A few weeks ago, I really missed those nights. It was a random Wednesday, and none of my friends were free. I didn't want to sit at home being sad, so I decided to go to one of the bars we used to visit. I told myself it wasn't about him, I just needed to get out. Honestly, I'm not the kind of person who goes out alone, but that night I just felt like I had to. The bar was exactly the same, dim lights, old stools, and a jukebox in the corner. It was comforting and painful at the same time. I almost walked out but decided to stay. After a drink or two, I wandered over to a pool table and started chalking a cue, not sure if I'd actually play. Then a guy about my age walked over and asked if I wanted to play a game. I said yes. He set up the balls, kind of wrong, but I didn't say anything, and we started playing. He wasn't bad. I won every game, but I wasn't going easy on him. We talked while we played, and he even bought me a couple of drinks. He was nice enough, but honestly, not that smart. I like guys who can hold a conversation, and he wasn't really that type. Still, it was nice to play and not think so much. I was actually having fun. After our fourth game, he asked if I wanted to go back to his place. It caught me off guard. I told him no, trying to make it sound playful. I said something like, maybe after a second date. But he didn't take it well. His whole mood changed. He frowned and said, "Are you serious?" Then he grabbed my wrist and made a comment about the money he spent on drinks. Then he grabbed my purse. I was frozen. I didn't scream or fight, I was just too shocked. Thank goodness a couple of older men saw what was happening. One of them told him to let go of me. The guy glared at me, threw my purse back on the table, and stormed out. I thanked the older men over and over. I was shaken up, so I called an Uber and left the bar. I was still in shock as I sat in the car. I must have fallen asleep because the driver had to wake me up when we got to my house. I got out and started walking to the door. While digging in my purse for my keys, I checked my phone, and that's when I saw the message, "AirTag found moving with you." My heart dropped. My hands were shaking as I searched my bag, and sure enough, I found an AirTag hidden inside. I panicked. I threw it on the ground and stomped on it until I was sure it was broken. I felt sick. I was still outside, and that guy now knew what street I lived on. Maybe not the exact house, but close enough. I ran to the back door, fumbled with my keys, and locked the door behind me as soon as I got inside. I was safe, but shaking. I couldn't sleep. I walked upstairs to my room and stared out the window, hoping to calm down. That's when I saw an old, beat-up Lincoln drive slowly down the street. I thought it was weird, but tried not to overthink it. Then it came back the other way. Slower. Like the driver was checking out the houses. My stomach dropped. The third time it passed, I was sure. It was him. I ducked down under the window, heart pounding. The fourth time the car passed, the window was halfway down, and the driver had something in his hand. It looked like a knife. Then the car stopped, right across the street from my house. I stayed hidden, too scared to move. When I finally looked again, the car was gone. The next morning, I told my parents everything. My dad was upset I hadn't called the police, but I told him I just froze. He called one of his friends who's a police chief. The chief said there wasn't much they could do without more proof or a license plate number. He told us to call the police right away if we ever saw the car again. I didn't leave the house for days. Even now, I'm scared he might come back and see me. I haven't seen the car again since that night, so maybe it's over. I hope it's over. My life isn't very exciting, but it's comfortable. I'm 40, single, and I don't have kids. Some people might think that's sad, but I don't. I have a steady job, a decent house, and I don't have to answer to anyone but myself. I work as a bartender at a fancy rooftop bar in the next town over. It's the kind of place where rich people go to drink. I don't live like that. I've got a normal house in a normal neighborhood, about 20 minutes away. But the job has its perks, the tips are great, and there's always someone new to talk to. Because it's a high-end bar, we don't really get regulars. I actually like that. I've never liked when customers get too friendly with bartenders. I'm more of a keep-to-myself kind of guy. Oh, my name's Kevin, by the way. That's important later. It was a Friday night, our busiest time. The bar was packed. People were laughing, drinking, showing off. I kept myself busy, like usual. I have a game I play in my head, guessing people's personalities based on their drink orders. Complicated cocktails usually mean someone's trying too hard. Whiskey neat? Bad day. That's when I saw him. He didn't fit in, and I noticed right away. He looked angry, like really angry. His dark hair was messy and hanging over his forehead. He wore a black hoodie under an old stained leather jacket. But it was his face that stuck with me. He looked like he wanted to hurt someone. He didn't sit down and just stood there staring right at me like he'd been waiting for me all night. I don't know how he got past the doorman, but I stayed calm and asked if he wanted a drink. He didn't answer at first, just kept staring. Then finally he said, "Double shot of Jaeger." We don't serve a lot of Jaeger. Most people here order expensive stuff, but I made it for him anyway. When I came back to take his money, he threw a crumpled bunch of cash on the bar. No one pays in cash there. It was weird. I was about to walk away when he said something that stopped me cold. "I knew I'd find you here, Kevin." I froze. He said my name, and I had not told him my name. No one had. I asked him how he knew who I was. He didn't answer. He just stared at me, and then he said slow and serious, "I know what you did." And then he turned and walked away toward the elevator. I didn't recognize him, and I still don't. But I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. I've made mistakes in my life, but nothing like this. Nothing that would make someone come after me. I finished my shift, drove home, and tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Eventually, I must have passed out. Then in the middle of the night, I woke up. No sound, no dream, just this weird feeling, like something was wrong. I stayed still, letting my eyes adjust to the dark. And that's when I saw it. A figure, just standing in the corner of my room near the door. Not moving, but just standing there. I couldn't see a face. Just saw the shape, but I knew it didn't belong there. I couldn't breathe. Someone was in my house. I counted to 3 in my head, then jumped out of bed screaming. The figure ran. I chased it, but by the time I got to the front door, it was wide open, and he was gone. I didn't run outside. I was too scared and just slammed the door shut and locked it, twice. Then I remembered a noise I'd heard when I got up. Something had hit the floor. And when I got back to my room to check it and turned on the light, there in the corner was a knife. One of mine from the kitchen. Whoever broke in wasn't just trying to scare me. They were going to kill me. I called the police right away. They got there fast and searched everything, my house, the yard, but found nothing. I told them about the guy at the bar. They checked the security cameras and he was there. But they haven't found him. The scariest part? I always lock my doors at night. Always. But the police found no sign of a break-in. No broken windows. No damage to the locks. To this day, I have no idea how he got inside. And I haven't seen him since. But sometimes, I still wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, sure that someone's watching me. Because once you've seen someone in your room, once you know they've been that close, you can never feel completely safe again. I work as a bartender at a bar and restaurant just outside Baltimore. The place has kind of a weird setup. There are no waiters, just bartenders like me and the kitchen staff. If you want food or a non-alcoholic drink, you have to come up to the bar and order. Then, when it's ready, you pick it up yourself. I think the owners do it this way to save money. The good part is, it keeps things busy, which I actually enjoy. Even though I don't think the bar is anything special, it's always packed. There's music, a big crowd, and a dance area near the DJ booth where people hang out and have fun. The energy helps the night go by fast. I like talking to new people and staying busy, so this job suits me. I'd go crazy if it were slow all the time, but that's just me. That night started like any other. It was a weekend, so we were expecting a big crowd. And we got it. Most of the people seemed like college kids, loud, wild, and tipping way less than usual. One group kept ordering tequila shots nonstop. It was chaos. One guy was so drunk he tried the same cheesy pickup line on me 3 times. While I was rushing around, I noticed something strange. An older couple walked in and sat at a booth in the corner. At first, nothing seemed odd. I just thought it was unusual for people their age to come to a loud, party-type place like this. I didn't have time to think about it, so I kept working. About 30 minutes later, I saw them again. I was pouring drinks, but my mind got stuck on them. That's when I realized something weird. They hadn't ordered anything. No food, no drinks. They were just sitting there, totally still. They weren't talking or even looking at each other. They were both staring at the wall next to them. It gave me a bad feeling. I wanted to check on them, but we were slammed. I figured maybe they didn't know they had to order at the bar. Later, when things slowed down a little, I walked over to them with a smile. But as I got closer, they still didn't move. They just kept staring at the wall like they didn't hear me coming. I cleared my throat and asked if they wanted to order something. The woman didn't move. She kept staring like I wasn't even there. The man slowly turned his head to look at me. His skin looked pale and old, and his eyes were sunken into his face. He didn't say anything, just stared and slowly shook his head no. Something about his face made my stomach turn. I mumbled something and walked away fast. They looked like they didn't even belong in this time period, like they were from a different era. I didn't look at them again for a long time. Eventually, the crowd thinned out. I glanced back at the booth and nearly dropped the glass in my hand. They were both staring straight at me. I locked eyes with the woman. She didn't blink. She didn't look away. I turned around and pretended to stay busy, but I was totally freaked out. When I finally looked again, they were gone. The booth was empty. I felt a little better after that. Honestly, I was just glad they left. Later, as I was cleaning up with my coworker Karen, I decided to ask her about it. Karen has worked there forever. She notices everything and remembers everyone who comes in. When I asked her about the couple, she looked confused. She said she hadn't seen anyone like that. I thought she must have misunderstood. I told her I meant the old couple in the corner booth. She shook her head again and said no, she didn't remember any couple like that. Then she laughed and asked if I was imagining things. I laughed too, but inside, I was freaking out. I knew what I saw. I asked her again if she was sure. She started listing off people who had been there, what they ordered, what they were wearing. Her memory was sharp. I pretended to laugh it off, but I felt sick. When we finished closing, I headed to my car. That's when I saw something that made my blood run cold. Across the street, under a streetlight, were 2 dark shapes. It was them. I couldn't scream. Nothing came out. I ran to my car, jumped in, locked the doors, and drove off as fast as I could. The drive home was awful. My heart was racing. I kept saying, "Oh my God," over and over. My mind was spinning. How could Karen have missed them? Were they even real? Was I losing my mind? I didn't know what to think. I still don't. I never saw them again. There was no explanation. No answers. And maybe there never will be.